Hey guys, this is a video on ratios. A ratio is a comparison of two or more things. So we can compare two or more things with each other. For example, we can compare the ratio of these dots. So here we have 3 purple dots to 4 black dots. So we're comparing two things, purple dots, black dots. And we can write it like this, like a ratio, 3 to 4. So it can be written like this with the colon, the 2 dots, or it can be written like 3 to 4, or it could be written like a fraction, 3 over 4. So that's how we write ratios. Okay, we could look at houses. So over here we have red houses and green houses. So we could write a ratio of red houses. We have 2 red houses and we have 4 green houses. So we could say there's a ratio of 2 red to 4 green. Or we could say 2 to 4. Or we could say 2 over 4. And the 2 is talking about the red houses and the 4 is talking about the green houses. We can also compare total number of houses with the red or green houses. So we could also say a ratio of 2 red houses to 6 total houses. So this is like the red houses and this is the total houses. So you can compare anything you want to each other. So a ratio is a comparison of 2 or more things. Okay, so there are things called equivalent ratios. Equivalent. Equivalent means the same. So for example, if you had a ratio of 10 over 30, you can find an equivalent ratio by dividing the top and bottom or multiplying the top and bottom by the same number. So I'll find an equivalent ratio by dividing this fraction by 2. So if I divide the top and bottom by 2, I'll get 5 over 15. And we call that an equivalent ratio. I can also multiply the ratio by something. So instead of dividing it by 2, let's say I wanted to times it by 10. So if I times 10 by 10, I get 100. If I times 30 by 10, I get 300. That's an equivalent ratio. Let's say I wanted to divide it by 10. So I could divide this by 10 and divide this by 10. And I would get 1 over 3. I could do this forever. These are all equivalent ratios. And there's a special one in this mix, and that's this guy. And it's kind of special because we say that it is in lowest terms, which means it's the smallest it can be without becoming a decimal. Okay, so those are equivalent ratios, and this guy right here is in the lowest terms. Okay, so we can actually use equivalent ratios to solve something called a proportion. A proportion are when you have 2 ratios that are equal to each other. So this is a proportion. I have this ratio and I have this ratio, and they're equal to each other. So if I want to solve them, it's like I'm just using equivalent ratios to solve them. So basically, I'm trying to figure out 1 over 2 is the same as what over 10? So I'm trying to figure out what happened to that 2 to make it a 10. I think it got multiplied by 5. 2 times 5 is 10. So therefore, I have to multiply this one by 5. So 1 times 5 would be 5. So now I know that x is equal to 5. Because I know 1/2 is equivalent to 5 over 10. They're the same ratio. They're called equivalent. And that's how you solve a proportion. Okay, the green one, 12 over 20 equals x over 5. So we're trying to figure out what is this? What is that guy? So if I look closely, I can see that my 20 must have got divided by 4 in order to turn into a 5. So I know 20 divided by 4 is 5. So now I have to do the same thing to the top, to divide it by 4. And 12 divided by 4 was 3. So now I know that x is equal to 3. Whoops. And those are equivalent ratios. So 12 over 20 is equal to 3 over 5. They're equivalent, or the same. And that's how you solve a proportion. These are just the first step ones. They get a little trickier. Okay, unit rate. Unit rate is where we will have a ratio or a rate where the denominator is 1. Maybe I should say a ratio where the denominator is 1. So in class, we compared oranges and the price of oranges. So let's say I just do that again, but I forget the prices. So let's say we have oranges, and let's just pick a nice number. Let's say they're $6 for 3 pounds of oranges. Does pounds have an S? Okay, so $6 for 3 pounds of oranges. If I want to turn it into a unit rate, I need my denominator to be 1, which means I need this to actually be a 1. Because another way to write this ratio is 6 over 3. And it's dollars and amount of oranges. So I need this number to turn into a 1. And how can I do that? Well, I can actually divide the fraction. So I can actually do 6 divided by 3, which will equal $2 for 1 pound of oranges. So I can just divide the top number by the bottom number. And I know that works because in order to make the 3 turn into a 1, I would divide it by 3. So therefore, I have to divide the top by 3. So I'm actually dividing the top number by the bottom number. Let's do another example. Let's say you're riding your bicycle. Actually, just like I don't know how to draw a bicycle. Gotta get the seat in there. What's that attached to? Okay, I don't know. I'm not really a very good drawer. Oh, there's no pedals. Let's write a gear here and like a chain. Okay, you're riding your bicycle. And let's say you're riding your bicycle. Let's say you're going fast. Let's say you're going 20 kilometers every hour. That's actually a unit rate. Check. And why is it a unit rate? Because this is per hour. So another way to write it is 20 over 1. 20 kilometers for 1 hour. So units rates are always per 1 of something. Okay, let's say, what else? Okay, let's do another one. Let's say you're walking along a road. So you're walking. And let's say we don't really know your unit rate, but let's say we know that you can walk 3 kilometers in 30 minutes. No. you know what, let's put this in terms of hours. Let's say you can walk 30 kilometers in 0.5 hours. So you can walk 30 kilometers in 0.5 hours. So in order to turn this into a unit rate, we need this number to actually be a 1. We want to know how far you can walk in 1 hour. So if you think about it, you are walking 3 kilometers in 30 minutes or 0.5 hours. How long will it take you to walk 1 hour? So you can do the same method we just talked about. You can actually take 3 and divide it by 0.5. So you can actually go 3 divided by 0.5. And then you'll figure out that that's actually going to be 6. So that means x is going to be 6 kilometers in 1 hour. Or logically, this one's an easy one. If you can walk 30 kilometers in half an hour, then to go the other half hour, you're walking another 3 kilometers. So every time you walk 3 kilometers in 30 minutes, you do another 3 kilometers, and now that's 1 hour. Okay, so just trying to stress that unit rate is always in terms of a unit of 1. So that's what unit rate means. So per 1 pound or per 1 hour. Okay, and that is it. I hope that helped a little bit.